Hi, this is Harley from WeLoveMetal.com. I'm here today on Skype with guitarist Markus Laakso from Finland's Kuoleman Laakso. The band's latest album, Tuliotsen, on Svart Records, is an excellent heavy metal album. Thanks for taking the time today to talk about the band and the album.
No problem, thank you.
All right. I enjoyed the album, for me, surprisingly, very much. I wasn't expecting to because it's a genre that I don't usually enjoy the doom part of it. But there's something about it that's different. How's the band feel about how the album came out for you guys?
Well, thanks for the feedback, and I think we were pleasantly surprised because on the first album it was all about being really heavy and dark and gloomy, but
Mm-hmm.
this time we added a lot of uh, new sorts of melodies and guitar harmonies and much more clean vocals.
Sure.
But it is a heavy album
Oh, no doubt.
in spite of that. But that's what we were going for, and we achieved it like beyond our expectations this time.
That's great. It's always good when an artist can kind of find their uh, you know, good sweet spot of where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I read that you guys isolated yourself in the forest to
Yeah.
record. How was that? How did that work out for you?
Well, it was really cool because a lot of our lyrics are based on nature or talk about nature,
Mm-hmm.
meaning like nature in the forest sense and the human nature. So it was really cool to live the lyrics, so to speak, and we spent like over 3 weeks in the middle of the woods. It was a really beautiful location,
Mm-hmm.
and we stayed at a cabin there, and it was right next to a lake, so we went fishing whenever we weren't recording, or picking mushrooms or berries and baking all sorts of stuff. So it was super mellow recording session, and we didn't have to worry about everyday city life at all. And so um, and we actually set up a studio there, and our producer V Santura of Triptychon and Dark Fortress
Mm-hmm.
brought a lot of his studio equipment down there. And the first day we just spent like building up the studio there, and then at the end of the session we just like took it down, and Santura went back to Germany, and the other guys back to Kuopio and Helsinki, and it was a really super laid back and really fun project this time.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, I definitely like to spend time out in nature, so it's cool that you could use that to kind of reflect the music.
Yeah, and I have a thing about owls,
Oh.
as you can see on the front cover of the first album,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually captured a real owl on tape, and it could be heard on the beginning of track number 6, which is called Glastonbury Lehto, the Glastonbury Grove, and that's the actual owl,
Hmm.
which was like near the cabin that we were staying at, like
Cool.
at night time. Yeah.
You mentioned the previous album, Art. What about this one? It's very colorful and kind of caught my eye. I said, I got to give that a listen. That's really what kind of led me into it. Where did that come from? I think it's called the Fire Swan.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
It
the
was
name of the album translated. So.
yeah. Um, Actually, the same guy painted both both artworks.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Mahu Abdul Muhsin, and he's a 19-year-old guy from the Maldives.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the reason that I got in touch with him in the first place was that I saw a picture of an owl that he had drawn and painted, and then I found his email address, so I sent him an email stating that I'm this Finnish guy from a metal band and we're just about to release an album, and would he be interested in like providing something in the vein of the picture that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And then I explained to him like with a couple of sentences that what I had in mind for the album cover artwork. So he sent me a message back like 20 minutes later that, yeah, this sounds super cool, let's do it. And and this time it was like really cool to work with him again, and I just again just emailed him a couple of ideas that I had for the cover, and he wanted to make it like a lot more detailed, but I wanted to have a little bit more stripped down approach to the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing. If you compare the first album cover and this one, both of them have a lot of details, but this one is like more stripped down, and uh, I really like the colors on this one, and it is an eye catcher for sure.
Yeah, it's not your typical heavy metal album art for sure.
No, no.
But yeah,
And
it
this,
really works.
yeah, and the Fires one, um, it's actually a name of a poem by this Finnish poet from the like early 20th century called Arni Kouta, and a lot of the stuff on this album is like based on opposites, like
Mm-hmm.
musically and lyrically, and there are two like main elements on the album that keep on repeating, and you could actually pinpoint that this song is a water song and this one is a fire song. So
Mm.
the fires one kind of combines them both, because a swan is a water bird, and the fact that it's on fire.
Sure.
And so we wanted it's not a concept album, but we wanted to have a tight entity, like all the artwork reflects the songs, and the opposite way around too.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Make adds a little level of maybe complexity to it. So
Yeah,
very
yeah.
cool. All right. Hey, Finland is it's become known as kind of this source of just really great heavy metal bands from I don't know, I could name 100 of them, but like
Hmm.
Ensiferum, Children of Bodom, Amorphis, Sonata Arctica. I mean, it's not just death metal. There's power metal there, Winter Sun, um, Teresa's. Um, it's really kind of this neat place. What is it about Finland that you think kind of produces such heavyweight heavy metal?
Well, that's a good question, and I think it has something to do with the fact that our winters are so long, usually. And you literally, when you wake up, it's dark outside, and when you come home from work or school or whatever, it's dark again. So we basically don't see the light for 6 months or even more
Right.
of the year. And I think it's inherited in our blood anyways, because Finnish music like is kind of moody and based
Mm.
on minor scales a lot.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you make the mistake of going to a church and listen to the stuff that they play there, it's super fucking doomy stuff.
Oh, really? Mm.
Yeah. And I don't know what is it about. Maybe it's in our blood, and combined with the fact that we don't see the light for half of our life
Yeah,
because
so
of the winters and stuff like that.
sure. So it yeah, your mood affects your musical
Yeah,
output, I suppose.
and a lot of Finnish musicians have like more bands than just the one.
Oh,
So
sure.
yeah, like I have a couple bands myself. So I think that's one of the factors that I don't know if there are like that many Finnish musicians per se. If you there are a lot of bands, like one
With
guy could have easily like
sure,
7 bands.
multiple bands per person. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a funny way to look at it. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, you mentioned being in multiple bands. So you know, you're certainly a talented musician, putting out, albums that, yeah, they're still underground, but for those of us that listen to it, can certainly recognize, talent and quality. So, have you um, have you had formal music training through your life, or just kind of picked it up and went with it?
I took piano lessons as a kid, like when I was about 7 years old,
Mm-hmm.
for a few years, but I don't remember that much. I have absolutely no clue about music theory, and then I took some guitar lessons when I was about 15 for like a few months or so. The kid next door was my teacher, and he was actually pretty good, but it's basically self-taught,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not that good like technically as a guitarist or a keyboardist, but I think I picked up a lot of stuff just by listening to
Sure.
shitloads of albums from different genres.
Sure.
And
Yeah. Yeah. I would contend that technicality doesn't necessarily equate to talent, rather
no,
than feel a lot of times.
you can be a great player, but it doesn't make
Yes.
you a good songwriter.
Yeah. Um, all right. Do you do enough to make your living in music, or do you do something else?
uh, it's kind of impossible to make a living with this sort of music in
Uh huh.
Finland, especially when Finland is such a small place. Only 5.4 million people live here. But I don't basically do mm, everything I do has something to do with music. Like
Okay.
for example, I do music journalism, and I'm actually writing a book right now of this Finnish, very traditional, old school Finnish band that I'm writing the book about. And well, to in order to make a living from playing in a metal band in Finland, you have to tour like really, really much
Sure.
and have several bands. But it would be a dream come true if I could just concentrate on making music. And for me, I really like composing new stuff and working in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
The live thing is really cool too, but I'd rather do new stuff all the time and not practice the old songs and concentrate on playing stuff that's already made.
Sure. Sure. That makes sense to explore new horizons, I suppose.
Hmm.
Um, Earlier you mentioned fishing while you were out at the cabin.
Yeah.
What other kinds of hobbies or interests do you have?
Oh, I go bowling every week.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that big in Finland, or
Um, no, I don't think it's that big, but
no?
we just thought with a couple of buddies of mine from actually a band called Jess and the Ancient Ones, which is a really, really cool band from Finland.
Sure, I've heard of them.
Rock with female vocals.
Yep.
A couple of guys from that band and another friend of mine just thought it would be cool to do something together like every week, so we decided to start bowling.
All right.
And that's been actually really fun. And we'll be having our first contest in March, so looking forward to that.
So are you getting any good, throwing lots of strikes?
Well, I'm getting better. I'm not in the championship league for
Okay.
sure, but my scores are like under 200, like 170 is probably pretty much my high score.
Okay. Well,
but let's see what else. Well, I'm a big movie fan, so I watch a lot of movies, and I have a kid with whom I like to hang out with, and my wife, of course, too. And it's pretty much like my life revolves around music in one way or the other. I collect like vinyl records and CDs and stuff like that, which take a lot of time and money.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned your family a little bit. What do they think about husband or dad or even your parents or any others that think my son Marcus, wow, he's in this crazy heavy metal band. What do they think about that?
I don't actually know. I never asked my parents, for example, what they think about it. But but my family is really supportive, and my son just turned 4 years old, and he came to see our show in Tuska, which is
the big fest. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was in the front row with like what do you call them? Like things that you put on your ears.
Oh, sure. Well, ear protection.
Yeah,
hearing protection.
Yeah. And my wife was like holding him up on her shoulders and stuff like that, and it was actually really cool to see him there. And and he actually told my wife that my wife told him that, hey, let's go in the back, and you don't have to hear this loud music, because the crowd was like super loud. And there were a lot of, I was so surprised with the turnout of that gig, because there was like the whole place was like packed, but my son had told my wife that no, I don't want to leave, I want to see the whole show, and he was headbanging there. And
all right.
Proud daddy moment.
Okay, so he's kind of figuring out what you do. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's actually a big metal fan too, even though he's just 4 years old.
All right, well.
He likes Wasp, for example.
Wow, okay.
It's a highlight for him that we're playing at Numi Rock in Finland this summer, and Wasp is on the lineup too.
All right. That's great. Okay, you mentioned a few of the concerts. Most of our readership is in North America, so do you guys have any kind of tour plans on the horizon for here?
I really would love to come over there and play, but I don't know. I don't think we have any specific plans to play there right now, but let's see how the album does over there. But we had actually a European tour lined up, but the headlining band had to cancel the whole thing because of their scheduling conflicts. So I'm hoping that it can be rearranged for this fall. But that's definitely something that I would personally love to do is play the States.
Sure.
but it's really expensive to
Yeah,
fly
that's what
there.
I always hear. It's very expensive to come here.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And actually, our vocalist Mikko Kotamäki plays or sings in Swallow the Sun, which
Okay.
is like in North America all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I,
And he's been telling great stories about their tours there, and I've actually lived in the States for 2 years in San Diego
oh, okay.
as a kid, and I've traveled a lot in the States. Like I've been to like 10 times or something.
Mhm. Okay. Well, we're definitely looking forward to it if you guys can make it over here.
That would be great.
Other than that, what's the future hold? I know the album's I don't think it's released yet,
No.
but it's very close.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it will be released at least in Europe, like not this Friday, but the next one.
okay.
So it'll probably come out at that time in the States too, I
Yeah,
think.
it's within a few days typically.
Yeah.
So, um, uh, have you thought about anything beyond this album?
Um, well, I've been doing a lot of press right now, and
Hmm.
after the album comes out, we'll be having some shows here in some club shows around Finland, and then we have at least the one metal festival appearance. But after that, I was thinking of having a short period of time, like not thinking about WLM Laakso because we've been kind of moving really fast, like with our releases. I was
Hmm.
just thinking the other day that WLM Laakso has released two albums, two full-length albums, and one EP.
Right.
Plus, um, my other band KSV released our second album like in 2012 in July. So in a matter of a little bit more than a year and a half, my bands have released three full lengths and one EP, and that's quite a lot.
That's yeah, very prolific
Yeah,
for sure these days. I mean, some bands go years between albums. So,
yeah, and I've been actually writing some acoustic and sort of like Nirvana meets Leonard Cohen
hmm.
meets Tiamat sort of stuff. So I might record some of that stuff like next year, but I think that we will record something not that far in the future because we've already been working on some new songs. So
Okay.
we'll
So
see what the future holds.
more music. All right. That's
Yeah.
always a good thing. All right, Marcus. Well, I want to thank you for joining me on Skype today. Looking forward to hearing more from you guys. And any last word for the metal fans out there?
Well, thank you for listening. And if you want to check us out, there's at least one song, Tuonen Tähtivyö, which in my opinion is one of the best songs that I've ever written
Mm-hmm.
that you can find on SoundCloud. And there should be actually another one called Verihaksi, which is a super doomy track that you could check out. And I don't know, if you come to our shows and drink beer and have a good time. And that's about it.
All right. Well, great. Thanks a lot. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.